Alrighty, let's try this again. Oh my god, I swear, one of these days we'll have a stream where it doesn't completely shatter 15 minutes into it. It'll happen eventually, I hope. Alright, it looks like I can see chat, no problem. At least on the actual thing. It looks like my software crashed when it comes to chat. That's not going to be that big of an issue, though. I'm just making sure that everything is set up. Testing. Alright, it looks like I can indeed, Yep, take two. Is this gonna become something permanent of the stream? I hope not. But yeah, it looks like the stream is back up, so let's go ahead and continue. For the most part, the events that we're going to be getting... seem to be mostly focused on making sure that you can level up your characters, which is definitely something that's going to be nice for a lot of people, including myself. I have been having a lot of issues leveling up a lot of my characters to get them to Abyss, and the events that we're going to be getting in 1.3 seem to be designed specifically to fix that problem that a lot of people are having with leveling up characters. You need an insane amount of resources in order to level up your characters, not only with experience, but also with Mora. And one of the events that they're going to be adding in 1.3 is that we're going to be getting double the rewards up to 3 times per day. And it's basically going to be called a leyline overflow, which is the thing they were referring to, that this is going to be the event that requires you to use Resin. I don't mind this event. I think this is going to be a really good event to get experience scrolls in particular, or experience tomes. They're not easy to get, and having an event that just gives you double the amount is going to be very helpful. I have actually been doing ley lines for the first time in forever, because I've been trying to get my characters leveled up. I'm probably going to stop doing that, and I'm just going to wait for this new event to come up. From what we saw in the stream, the event is likely going to last for a very, very long time, and depending on how it goes, it might even become a permanent fixture. It might even become something permanent. We're not entirely sure, but it does seem to be something in their mind at the bare minimum. But yeah, that is mostly the changes that we're going to be expecting in 1.3. We're going to be getting the Geo changes, we're going to be getting the new events, and we're going to be getting the Geo Bishop, both the normal version and the Prime version. As far as the Lantern Festival is concerned, we're going to be getting a free 4-star character, and we're going to be getting a significant increase in not only experience scrolls, but also Mora with the Leyline event. The actual Lantern Festival, the one thing that we have seen so far is the new tower defense mechanic, which I am insanely excited for. I am a big fan of Bloons Tower's Defense. That's a game that I played a lot, and I just like tower defense in general. So having that in Genshin is going to be really interesting. It looks like it'll have different modes that are going to be ranging from easy to very difficult, and you're also going to be able to play yourself as a moving tower, essentially. The enemies, they look pretty strong, so I'm not entirely sure how powerful we're actually going to be on the battlefield. CC might become more important. In which case, characters like the buff Zhongli, Ganyu, or just Cryo in general are going to become pretty strong in this. We'll see what ends up happening, but I expect characters that can apply Cryo very quickly, or they can just apply general CC, are gonna shine in this event. I'm looking at Mona, I'm looking at Zhongli, I'm looking at probably Barbara with Chongyun. That's a lot of CC. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited to see what they come up with, and it's probably It's probably something they're looking at as putting it as a regular minigame. A lot of the events that we get seem to tend towards that fashion. Events that are repeatable and that can be easily implemented and expanded upon. So I wouldn't mind if we see these events later in the future either. Do you think you could make a short video recap of 1.3? It could help the YouTube subs that don't watch live streams. That's not a bad idea. I'll think about that. I'll probably work on that on the weekend if it does happen. But yeah, that's mostly 1.3 for now. Let's go ahead and let's move over to the next topic of discussion, which is probably what a lot of people are the most excited about. We're going to be talking about Xiao. Now, this is not going to be a full analysis. This is not going to be like the one that I did for Ganyu. This is mostly just going to be an overview of where I expect Xiao to be and what I expect him to do. Why am I not doing a full analysis just yet? Mainly because we don't have full numbers. We have seen his animations now, and we have seen his new charge attack. We have numbers from what we can expect them to be over in Honey Genshin, but they're not necessarily going to be the final numbers. Xiao has changed massively between the last couple of months, and he changes almost every single day. So it's very difficult to have a proper analysis of where Xiao is going to end up. Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. Kaching is going to have a permanent banner for the duration of the event. Or a character banner, my bad. It's essentially just going to be a regular event character that has Kaching in it. It's not a bad thing, and I expect that we're going to be getting similar banners of that nature in the future. The Diluc and the Mona banner are probably going to be the ones that most people are going to be looking for. Kaching is a very strong character. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think a lot of people see her as a high priority must-have. I think they see her mostly as a character that if you get, she's going to be insanely good. But it's not something that you're looking forward specifically. Not saying that you can't. For those people that really like Kaching, this is the time. But for the most part, for a lot of people already have DPS characters that will perform in a similar vein. So I'm not entirely sure if using resources to get Kaching in particular is going to be a wise idea. Yeah, that is definitely going to be nice. Having just knowing that we have permanent character banners, that we're going to get them eventually. That means that people that want Chi-Chi for a specific team, that means that people that want Mona for a specific team, even people that want Jean for a specific team, they're gonna be able to get those. Realistically, the one we're all looking for is Diluc. Let's be real here, we're all just waiting for the Diluc banner. When it comes to Xiao, let's go ahead and talk about Xiao. So, Xiao has changed a lot. He has changed very massively between a lot of the patches, and we're not entirely sure how he's gonna end up. So we do not know which artifacts are gonna be the best. The ones that we're looking for is probably gonna be a combo between Veritas and Venereer, and probably Gladiators, or anything that gives him extra damage. The things that we have to figure out is whether extra elemental damage, like the one from the Noblesse set, affects his burst in the slightest. If it doesn't, then we're not going to go for that one. If it does, it might be the biggest buff. We just don't know. Another thing that we have to figure out is whether his plunge attacks still count as charge attacks. For the longest time, that was one of Xiao's unique features. His plunge attacks counted as charge attacks, which meant that we got charge attack boosting sets like that of a Bolite set, they would work for him. From what I can tell, that appears to have been removed. So we might not even be able to use the Bolite set anymore for Xiao. There's just a lot of questions that we do not know about this character, and we're gonna have to wait until the character actually releases before we can give a definitive answer. The one with the current data that we have right now, the thing that does look like the best is probably going to be a Gladiator combination with the Venereer set. It might not be the best in the end, because, again, we just don't know how the character is going to function in every single aspect. It does look like plunge attacks are still going to become his main thing, but they might not be the only thing. We're going to have to take a look at animation timing, we're going to have to take a look at a lot of different things in order to figure out what's the best thing for him. Are plunge attacks going to be the best way of attacking? Is it going to be a combination of normal attacks and charge attack spam? We just don't know. He has a charge attack now as well, which is something that he didn't have before. And the charge attack looks pretty strong. The one problem that I see that a lot of people might have is that it knocks enemies away, and the knockback seems to be pretty hefty. So when it comes to just general DPS, that might actually hurt him quite a bit. It does give him a lot of really fun things though, like pushing enemies off cliffs and just juggling enemies. We're gonna have to see where Xiao lands. There's too many factors for me to say how Xiao is gonna end up. The only thing that I can tell you is that regardless of what happens, he's gonna be strong. The damage bonuses on his burst are already looking very powerful, and the energy generation that we have seen so far is on the higher levels. It looks like he doesn't have a cooldown for energy generation, which is massive because he has limited static wind cycling, which can get up to 3 charges. And from what we saw of the trailer, he generates 3 energy orbs per cast. That is a lot of energy in a very quick burst. Heart of the Depths? Yeah, might be. It might legitimately be. We're gonna have to look at it. We realistically just don't know yet. There's a lot of factors that we have no idea. I think the biggest factor that's gonna affect how Xiao works, or what set is best for Xiao, is gonna be his plunge attack. Is his plunge attack the strongest part of the kit? We do not know yet. Is his charge attack the strongest part of the kit? We do not know yet. So based on that, we have to figure out what that is, and then we can set up a build for him. From what I was able to tell, it does look like his best option is likely gonna be just focusing on Anemo damage. But there's very few things that actually boost Anemo damage. We just don't know a lot of the interactions, and the things that we're gonna have to keep in mind are, is his plunge attack considered a charge attack? If the answer is yes, we're likely going to be using the Bowlight set. If the answer is no, we're likely going to be using an Anemo, the Benarir set, combined with something else. What that something else is, we don't know just yet. If the elemental skill, if the elemental burst gets increased, the damage that we actually get from that, if that gets affected by the Noblesse set, that might be something that we look into. If it doesn't, we're probably going to be looking at gladiators. We could even run martial artists for all I know. There's so many things that we just don't know. Soother set, the Thunder Soother set, that might end up being another one that we're going to look into. 35% extra damage could be pretty significant. The thing that we don't know, though, is does Swirl affect that, or does it not? There's so many things with Xiao that we just don't know. We need to test. This is one of those characters where it's impossible to tell just from looking at things. Well, we're going to have to do pretty in-depth testing in order to figure out what's going to be the best thing for Xiao. Hence why I'm just doing an overview right now. For the most part, the real heavy duty is going to be when he releases. Right now, the one thing that we can say for certain is that no matter how his interactions go, he's going to be strong. That is the only thing we do know. I do expect him that because of the swirl, more than anything, he's likely going to be looking to do Electro Charge as the main reaction of the team. And since he requires a healer, Xiao is probably going to find Barbara to be one of his best supports, period. I think Barbara and Xiao is probably going to be the combo that we're going to be seeing more often than not. And then as for Electro DPSs, or Electro supporters, we're probably going to see a combination of Fischl and Baido, depending on what you want to choose. I probably like Baido a bit more, but Fischl also works really well. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we don't know about Swirl, about the Swirl reaction just yet. We know that the extra element that gets applied almost instantly, so that shouldn't become too much of an issue when it comes to creating elemental reactions. The problem, though, is not creating elemental reactions, it's making sure that the character that has the elemental mastery is the one that triggers it. That's the thing that's going to become a bit of an issue for Xiao. Because if he becomes the character that always triggers the elemental reaction, that means that we're going to be losing out on that part of the damage. Then again, Xiao's damage is so high, at least it looks like it's going to be so high, that might not even matter in the slightest. That is true. Xingqiu, I don't believe Xingqiu gets triggered with plunge attacks. So there's a lot of things that we just don't know about Xiao, and those are things that we're going to have to test. It's one of the reasons why we can't say for certain how Xiao is going to end up. There's too many factors, so the only thing that I can tell is that he's going to be good. How good, how expensive, that I don't even know. When it comes to weapons, Xiao can probably use a decent amount of them, but a lot of them are not the easiest to get. One of the things that I want to look at is the Prototype Grudge in particular, because I feel like that one might end up being the free-to-play option for Xiao. Prototype Grudge is it gives energy recharge, which means that he should be able to spam his burst quite significantly, especially with the amount of energy that he generates. And whenever he uses an elemental skill, like Misguided Wind Cycling, he gets extra damage. It being a craftable option also makes it pretty useful for Xiao. We're gonna have to test out, though. Again, we don't know what Xiao is gonna end up being. Is it gonna be a plunge attack spammer? Is it gonna be a normal attack spammer? Charge attack maybe? We're gonna have to do a lot of tests. This does mean that he's probably gonna be very flexible. Just finding the best one likely won't matter too much, because all of the options that I mentioned above are gonna be very strong. So this does make him quite a flexible fighter, if I'm being honest. I'm just not entirely sure which teammates are gonna be able to take advantage of his quirks. He is a greedy main DPS who wants to stay on the field with his burst at all times. So we're gonna need characters that can do most of their damage over long periods of time without being on the field that much. Which is why I'm looking at Baido, I'm looking at Barbara, I'm looking at Fischl. Xingqiu might be good, depending. We're not really sure at the moment. That is something that I completely forgot about, and thank you for reminding me, Nutsi. Nancy? I have no idea how to say your name, I'm sorry. Yeah. On the live stream, we did see that they're adding a new system that allows you to use materials that you already have in order to transmute them to something else. The ones that we know for a fact is that we're going to be able to grab materials from bosses and then turn those into materials for other bosses, mainly the shards. That's going to be really helpful in order to use resources that we're getting from the events and turn them into something else. So that's going to be a very nice bonus. The one thing that I'm the most interested about is the ones that we get from mobs, because they showed a new item that you feed it things that you have in your inventory, the mob drops basically, and then you turn them into something else. They didn't specify what that something else was going to be, So we're not sure what it is, but more than likely it's going to be some form of currency that we can use to specifically buy the ones that we want. That's more than likely what it's going to be. We're not sure yet. It could be something entirely different, so all of this is mostly speculation at this point. Starglare's shop item. That could be a thing. We just don't know right now. There's a lot of things. They showed a lot, but they left more questions than answers. From what I can tell, it looks like most of them went through. They didn't confirm numbers, however. I'm pretty sure that somebody told me that from the Chinese version, they said that the Shangli buffs went through, but I don't think they explained them. You're probably still gonna have to farm bosses for Ascension materials, more than likely. I think the ones that, at least the thing that they showed, is that we were able to transform crystals. I think Ascension materials are still gonna be boss related. For Xiao, we just don't know what's gonna be the best artifact set. I don't even know if Gladiators is gonna be that good. If he's a plunge attack, if he becomes a plunge attack character where his plunge attacks are the most powerful thing, it might end up being just a Benorier set. And even if he doesn't, it might be best to go with Thunder Soother rather than Gladiators. There's so much that we don't know. A lot of tests are going to be in place. I think the set that I had for Xiao was the Bolite set, but that was based on data where the plunge attack was still the charge attack. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to remain the best set. Thunder Soother and Bolite are probably the safest options to go for right now, if you plan on farming for it, but realistically it could change very heavily depending on what the release version of Xiao looks like. Okay, so they've confirmed that we're gonna get the full list on the 1st of February. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that, and I'll try to make a stream for that day if possible. So with that out of the way, that's kind of the overview for Xiao. There's just too many questions for me to say a definitive answer. I don't know what Xiao's best companions are going to be. I just know that more than likely he's going to pair well with Barbara, Bido, Fischl. Those are the only ones that I can 100% say that Xiao will pair well with. Everything else, it's up in the air. Xingqiu might be one. Albedo might even be one. We just don't know right now. Bennett might work, because one of the things about Bennett's field is that it applies even if you're over it. At least it seems to. I'm not entirely sure. The only one that I've properly tested it with is Albedo, so it might work with Xiao's plunge attack, which would increase his damage quite significantly. Then again, Bennett is Bennett. He kind of works with everybody. Even the Heart of the Deep might be a good set for him. We just don't know. There's a lot of factors that are up in the air regarding how Xiao will work, because the way that Heart of the Deep works is that, if I remember correctly, it's just when you use the elemental skill. I'm not entirely sure if it stacks. I'm probably going to have to test that out. Do I even have a character that I can test that out with? I don't even think I do. That's definitely something that I'm going to have to look into, Ronan. Thank you for reminding me. That could be something fun, depending on how it works. Because if you use 2 lemniscatic wind cyclings, that would be, what, 50% damage bonus? That could be fun. We're gonna have to test that out. You tested it with Bennett. Does it stack? Oh yeah, Bennett. I could test it with Bennett. Xiao, Fischl, Shangli, and Albedo. That honestly looks like a pretty good team. Healing might become an issue for Xiao though, because it doesn't look like it, but he consumes a lot of health when he bursts. It's not a small amount. Bloodstain could end up being really good. One of the things that I was the most curious about was whether Xiao was going to be able to use the Crescent Pike. And it's going to be up in the air. It might, as weird as it sounds, Crescent Pike Xiao might actually be the highest damage version of Xiao. We just don't know. That's the thing about Xiao. We need to have him. We need to properly have him in order to be able to test him. One of the things that I was able to tell from the live stream was that his attack chain does look pretty fast, and he does have multiple hits in a lot of his areas. I don't think it's enough to justify the Crescent Pike. His attack scaling is already very, very high as well. But again, we're gonna have to test it. We just don't know right now. There's a lot of options, and from just looking at the numbers and from just looking at the trailer, we do not have enough to say what interactions are going to be the best. Right now, we're mostly just speculating. 2-piece Venereer, 2-piece Gladiator, that's likely going to be the safest option, but it might not be the only one. So, what should you farm for Xiao right now? Probably focus on Ascension materials, and we'll figure out the artifact set later. Crescent Pike would not work in that scenario, no. But you would still get the Crescent Pike bonus. It just wouldn't be affected for the normal attacks, because the way that that particular bonus applies is that it gets applied once the conversion is already in place. So you would not actually get the bonus for physical damage, which is pretty massive, and it is one of the reasons why the Crescent Pike is so good. So even if... do we still allow damage other builds even with that? We just don't know. The thing that we're going to have to test out the most is damage buff interactions. That is the thing that we're going to have to test out the most. How long does it take for the plunge attack to activate? How long does it take before we can use it again? How much damage does it do? What does it get affected by? Does it count as a charge attack? Does it not count as a charge attack? There's a lot of factors in play, and depending on these small factors, the build could change entirely. Noblesse could do nothing. It could legitimately do nothing, or it could increase its damage by 20%, period. There's a lot of things that we do not know. Hence why we have to test it out. Yeah, Ganju's charge attack bloom was a surprise. I was not expecting that to be a charge attack. But it ended up counting as a charge attack. We're gonna have to wait to release. Before I can say anything for sure regarding what's gonna be the best artifact set and what's gonna be the best weapon, we're gonna have to wait for release. As far as weapons that I can say that are probably gonna be good, definitely his 5-star, the Primordial Jade Sphere. That one's just busted. If you have it, for sure, use that one. For free play, I expect the prototype Grudge to be the better one, or Star Glitter now, I guess, as it's called. Xiao doesn't have any initial damage on the ult. Yeah, that is true. I believe that it worked on the beta test, but then again, that was a different version of Noblesse. So, again, we don't know. We just don't know. No, I think you're right, Nut. I think you're right, Nut. It all depends on the way that it's coded. That's basically how it's going to come down to. I don't expect it to work, if I'm being 100% honest, but it might, which is why I have to bring it up. There are way too many factors in play, and that's what makes it hard to say right now. But once we have the character, it'll probably take less than an hour for us to figure out what's actually going to be the best thing. When it comes to weapons, Honestly, there's a lot of weapons that are going to be working really, really well for Xiao. Black Cliff Pole is going to be insanely good because it has crit damage, and Xiao has an innate 20% crit. If you get a single artifact with crit rate, that boosts it up to like 55%, which is pretty massive. So having the Black Cliff Pole is probably going to be one of the better ones. Deathmatch is also likely going to be really good. We also have things like every single one of the 5 stars are probably going to be busted for him. Xiao has a lot of weapons that are going to work really, really well with him. Yeah, Gamblers only works on Child's initial damage, and I believe they also affect the explosion. I'm not entirely sure on that one. It looked like it affected the explosion when I was testing it. The good thing about Xiao is that even if we're not doing the most effective build, we're likely still going to be doing so much more damage than every other option that it's probably not going to matter, if I'm being honest with you. So that's a good thing about Xiao. We don't really have to worry about the most effective build just yet. Pretty much everything that you put on him is going to end up being good in one way or another. As far as that, if you plan on summoning for Xiao, I think the best thing that you can do right now is just to focus on Ascension materials and focusing on XP scrolls and more than anything else. Weapons it's still up in the air as to which one is going to be the best one, and the same thing goes for artifact sets, so farming right now might not be the best way to go. He's probably going to be Keqing too, if I'm being honest. He's likely going to be slightly stronger than Keqing. I think Swirl might end up being something really powerful with him. We have to see. We just don't know. There's a lot of things that we do not know. We might even get a different Anemo sets in the future, and that might end up being a better thing for him. For now, I think the safest thing to do, if you have artifact sets, Bennerir and Gladiators. If you have a Thunder Soother set, that's always going to be good on him, more than likely. So those two are probably the safest options at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I want to mention regarding Xiao. As far as everything else is concerned, let's go ahead and let's go over into Q&A. Yeah, there is an interaction where you Hydro Swirl, then Basic Attack, and have Bido proc Electro Charge. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do, but it is consistent, and it should allow you to have Electro Charge constantly with Bido as the Elemental Detonator. Mostly because Bido has a 1-second delay, and things like Barbara's Let the Show Begin and Swirl, they always apply the element as soon as the swirl reaction happens. So Electro Charge should be possible as the consistent elemental reaction for Xiao. Magically, an Anemo set appears with Plunge bonus. I mean, it happened to Tartaglia. It might happen to Xiao. I know that at some point in the past, like very early in development, we got a leak for a 3-set bonus that increased damage in general. That might be something that we might see in the future, that's specifically designed for Xiao. In which case, we might end up having that particular set with a 2-set Venereer. It seems like something that could happen. We're not entirely sure. A lot of things will probably change in the future for Xiao. But yeah, the last thing that I want to mention is stream and upload schedule. I have been restructuring a lot of things just in general in order to try to get a proper schedule for both uploads and streaming, and I think what I'm going to end up doing is Fridays, I'm going to try to make it so that every single Friday there is a Genshin stream of one way or another. Whether it be me trying to figure out which character I'm going to analyze, whether it may be looking at events, whether it may be just answering questions or trying builds out, I'm going to try to make it so that every Friday there is a Genshin stream. As far as uploads are concerned, the one thing that I'm going to be trying to do is that I'm going to be trying to make it so that at the very least, every Wednesday, there is a analysis for one character. The next Wednesday is when I plan to release the Ganyu analysis, and then the next Wednesday after that, it's probably going to be Xiao. And then every Wednesday, I'm going to try to release one for one character until I finish all of them. At which point, I'm probably going to do different things. I know there's a small series that I've been trying to do for the longest time. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to fit that in, but I'll try to do that at some point as well. The last thing that I want to set up is that I want to have Mondays be a free stream. Essentially, I want to try to make it so that Mondays I can just stream a different game that's not Genshin related, and just have fun with that. I'm not entirely sure which ones I'm actually going to be able to. There's a lot of things that I want to be able to stream. I do not have the resources for that at the moment. My computer does not allow me to do so. I do not have a capture card, unfortunately. So most of the things are probably going to end up being Xbox games from Game Pass, if I can manage to get that to work. So yeah, that is what I'm trying. That is what I'm going to be trying to do. For the most part, the analysis videos usually take me around 14 to 16 hours. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it so that Saturdays and Sundays I focus on getting those videos out, and then editing between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so that Wednesday I should be able to have those two things out. That is what I'm trying to do. I'm probably not gonna succeed, if I'm being honest, but that's what I'm gonna be trying to do. 2 streams a week, and at least 1 video every Wednesday. But yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at questions, shall we? Maybe I missed it, but what do you think about the 2-week banner lengths now? Huh. I didn't even notice that that was a thing. Is that a thing now? Did they mention that sometime? I think I missed that information. I wasn't aware that they were lowering the banner time. I'm gonna have to look into that. So that's a thing then. You posted it on Discord. Let me look at it. Let's see. Where did you post it in, Nut? Did you put it in the leak channel? I cannot find it. They have not informed, but the Qing banner starts exactly 2 weeks after Xiao. It was in the stream, they showed the release dates. It might be a dual banner, if I'm being honest. That's what I gathered from it. I didn't think they were gonna have 2-week banners. I just thought that they were gonna have a dual banner. I hope it's not a 2-week banner. That could end up being pretty bad. Not only for the player base, but also for the developers. That's not a lot of time to get characters set up. Alright, so you posted it again? Let me take a look at it. Let's see, estimated start date February 3 after the version 1.3. and then the estimated start date is February 17th. So yeah, that would end up being a 2-week banner, assuming the Xiao banner ends at that point. Which I don't think is going to be the case. I think it's more likely that we're just going to have a dual banner. I feel like that's more likely. Red K, that seems like a sensible business decision, if I'm being honest. I feel like that's more likely to happen than them shortening the banner to 2 weeks. Because if you shorten the banner to 2 weeks, that means that you have significantly less time to make sure those characters are set up properly. Not only balances whatever, it's clear that MiHoYo, they do care about balance, but they're not worried about releasing super OP characters or super underperforming characters. They're more worried about getting the character released, and that it works properly, that it doesn't break the model, that it doesn't break the game. I don't think that 2 weeks is enough time to properly test those things out. Or, not that it's not enough time, it's more like it puts a lot of pressure on the development team. So I don't see that happening that often. If what they're doing is instead having one new character, then having a rerun of a character that's already released, that's like a month of time that you have in order to make sure the characters are set up properly. So I feel that's more likely to happen than anything else. So that seems more likely to me. That we get a new character every month, presuming. And then we get a reroll character as a secondary banner. That seems more likely to me. Whether that's going to be what actually happens, we do not know. But that's probably what I would do if I wanted to get the most money out of a community, while at the same time getting the most time from my development team. That seems like the most logical business decision. So I'm gonna go with the likelihood that that's what's happening. Let's see. Let me take a look at the chat again. Would it be best to overlap the rerun for the last 2 weeks and run in the new character banner for the full month? I'm not entirely sure about that one, because the thing about okay, this is gonna sound really bad, but it's the reality of the matter. If you're a business, especially for a free-to-play game, you want to put pressure on the players. If you give them too much time to think things over, you're giving them a lot of time to get resources. So the longer that you give for a character-specific banner, the less pressure people have. At which point, they're less likely to spend. It sounds bad, but that's the reality of the psychology that these games look forward to. So while you might think that putting 2-week banners would pressure players towards that fact, it also puts a lot of strain on the developer. So that's unlikely to happen. When you put these two facts together, the best idea at that point then becomes having the regular banner rate that we have right now, which is already fairly oppressive, at 3 weeks, and then having a rerun. Because at that point you're buying yourself a lot of time, at the same time gaining more money for things that you've already done. So that just makes the most sense from both a business perspective as well as a development perspective. Why was Xiao my most wanted 5-star? If I'm being honest, it's just because he looks cool. I saw him on the beta tests, and I thought he was really cool, so I wanted him. That was pretty much it. The damage bonuses were also pretty nice, and I had the when I started playing Genshin and I got Barbara, I had the Barbara and Fischl. I had the idea of just having a character that would constantly electrocharge an enemy, and Xiao and Keqing, really, they seem to be the best ones for that. The more I thought about it, I thought that Xiao would be a better fit for the idea that I wanted, and I'm always really I always gravitate towards fast characters, which Xiao really seemed to be. The character archetype that I like the most when it comes to RPGs and stuff of the sword. I always really like characters that are really fast, hit hard, and can get out of sticky situations. Glass cannons, basically. Xiao seemed to fit that description for me. Hence why I wanted him. Do I want him now? Probably not, if I'm being honest. I have a lot, and I mean a lot of characters that I want to level up. And even if I get Xiao, for me to get him to a point where he's usable at the level that I'm at right now, it's probably gonna take me months. So even if I get him, I'm probably not gonna use him that much. Yeah, I know, right? That is the other type of character that I actually like quite a lot, that being the Paladin. The Paladin archetype that has heals and just does massive damage while tanking everything. Funnily enough, I actually do like quite a lot of characters. If I'm looking for offense, I'm looking for really fast characters. If I'm looking for balance, I'm looking for a Paladin-like character. I also gravitate towards healers quite a lot. It usually depends on what I want to play in that type of game. For Genshin, I was gravitating towards fast attacking characters, hence why I wanted Xiao. Then I saw Noelle, and I'm probably never gonna get rid of her. I love Noelle. I love Noelle so much. Oh, thank you. That was kind of the thing that I wanted to do a lot with my videos, trying to help people decide what's the best thing they can do for themselves. The good thing about Genshin is the game is not super hard. You can realistically play whatever you want, and that playstyle will eventually get you even through the endgame content. It's just a matter of waiting for the most part. We are limited not by skill, but by resources. If you're really skillful and if you manage to use a lot of interesting combinations that increase your damage, you can do a lot of crazy stuff. But it's not necessary at the end of the day. Genshin is, for the most part, a resource war more than it is a strategy one. At least in the regular gameplay. Abyss is trying to change that a bit. I think the one thing that is going to show strategy quite a lot more are events like the Geo-Hypostasis. I think events like that are going to be where strategy is going to get to shine a bit more. Crossover banners. Ew. That's probably going to happen at some point or another. If I'm being honest, that's just a lot of money that companies get from that. Would I like that to be the case? Not really. I would prefer it if they had, like, skins. That would be my preferred option, rather than adding a character that just doesn't belong into the game. I would much rather just have a skin. If I got to choose, I would probably give a gut skin from Berserk to Noelle. If I had the choice, that's what I would pick. It looks like a lot of people are discussing what types of characters you like, and yeah, there's a lot of characters that are very interesting in Genshin. We have mage-like characters, we have very hard-hitting characters like the Luke that just focus a lot of power into their normal attacks. Then we have Xiao, who's fast, agile, and has a lot of power. We have a lot of really interesting variety when it comes to gameplay, which is nice. It's definitely very nice. One of the things that caught me off guard was how much I ended up liking Ningguang. When I got her the first time, I didn't expect to like her as much as I did. It's so much to the point that she has become a centerpiece for my Apocalypse team, which is the one that I use for Noelle. I'm probably gonna, if I'm looking to C6 a character, I think my priority at the moment is Noelle, and then Ningguang. I think those are the two characters that I'm going to be focusing on the most with my resources from now on. Skins would only be great for the Traveler. Yeah, probably. I would like to have skins for other characters, but the thing that makes the most sense would probably be for the Traveler. I don't think they're going to do generic skins. I think that's a bit too much work for Genshin. They might pull it off, I don't know if they will. Alright, let me go ahead and take a look at other questions. The Crescent still looks ugly to this day. Yes, weapon skins, that is something that I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping that happens at some point or another. Unlike characters, weapons are insanely easy to skin over because you don't have to worry about multiple models. You don't have to worry about the gender of each character. You just have to replace the weapon skin. Because the hitbox for all characters remains the same regardless of weapons. I'm hoping weapon skins come in the future. I do not like the Crescent Pike either. I don't think it looks good. I would much rather use anything else. That's true. You make a good point, Pixelist. I think the problem with the Crescent Pike is not so much the actual design, but the way that it stands out on all characters. I think the design would be cool on like a mech, on like a Make Knight or something like that. Of which none of the Genshin characters are. So it does look off. Weapon Trox Mug would be amazing. I hope that happens at some point. Free-to-play skins. Free-to-play skins. That might happen in the future. We don't know how they're going to do their skin system, if they're going to be event-related, or if they're going to be just buy it with the currency. They might just make it buy it with the currency, which would be pretty annoying. I would like it if we would have some skins that we can just earn from the game. You're probably the only one who likes the Crescent Pike. I don't mind the Crescent Pike that much, it's just... Pixelist brought a really good point. I don't think the design is the bad part, I think the contrast that it makes with the characters are the part that puts me off. Like, Xiang holding the Crescent Pike just looks wrong to me. I would like it if they make it like the pet thing from the treasure event. I really like the pets. They're just a small... They're like the smallest thing possible, but they add so much flavor to your account. It's nice. It's nice to have things like that. You joking? It's MiHoYo. Yeah. Yeah. Then again, when it comes to developers, for the most part, MiHoYo has been pretty open with a lot of the things, which is weird. I was not expecting this company to be as open as they have been. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. A lot of the decisions that they're making seem to be good decisions, both from a business standpoint and from a community standpoint. I do think they desperately need a community team. The people they hire for their events or for their live streams, they're doing a pretty good job, from what I can tell. But they definitely need like a community team that talks directly to the players. About pets, since that's also looking to be a thing, I'm curious, what did everybody pick for their color? I picked Rose. That's the pet that I picked. I'm curious to see what the majority of people went with. I might make a poll for that. I gotta figure out how to make polls. Everybody went with gold. I'm the only one that went with Rose, aren't I? Not that it matters that much. Alright, so I'm seeing 5 people went with gold, and 2 people went with pink. Nobody went with blue. Oh, there we go. We have somebody that went with blue. Stropple. That might be a good idea. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I'm gonna look that up for the next streams. But yeah, from what I can tell, it looks like most people went with gold. Geogang, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Speaking of which, I'm currently working to get the roles adjusted so that you can choose which gang you belong to. Geogang, Pyro Gang, go ahead and choose, and you can have that in the Discord. That is something that I'm going to be working for throughout the weekend. I'll figure out how to do it. Hopefully I can do it. But with that out of the way, it does look like I've pretty much talked about most of the discussions that I wanted to have, and looks like my time is beginning to be taken away. I have a lot of things to do for the rest of the day, so I'm gonna go ahead and probably end the stream right here. All of you guys can expect to see a stream on Monday. If I get it to work, we're more than likely going to be playing a bit of Ark. It's not going to be a new playthrough. I had played Ark before in a server, as I believe I mentioned it before, and I transferred my character to a single-player world, and one of the things that I want to try to do, because I'm actually excited for Ark 2, even though I fully expect it to just be Ark 1 with a different name, I want to try to beat the entirety of Ark, and I kind of want to try to stream it. So, we'll see if that ends up happening. With that out of the way though, if you enjoyed, thank you very much for watching. Portals.